Today, we're going to dive into a really profound dialogue. It's a conversation between a master and his student, a student who would one day become the great Lotus master Padmasambhava. And this isn't some dry academic lesson. No, this is a raw, unfiltered look at the spiritual journey. The real journey, from just knowing things in your head to a deep, genuine realization.
And the story starts with his own words. He tells us that his quest began when he was just 8 years old. Think about that. At an age when most of us are just playing, his faith awakened. You know, this wasn't some childhood hobby. This was a fire that lit up his entire life.
So, here's how we're going to break down his journey. We'll look at it in 4 parts. First, his initial quest for knowledge. Then, the sneaky traps he fell into during his practice. After that, the tough, stern guidance from his master. And finally, the moment of ultimate realization that changes everything.
All right, so let's jump into part 1, the Seeker's Quest. Before Padmasambhava even got into the really deep training, he went on a mission to learn everything. He became a walking encyclopedia of spiritual texts, a master of teachings. But, as we're about to see, knowing it all is just the first step.
And, look at this. The guy's spiritual resume was stacked. He didn't just dabble, he went all in. He consumed the entire Buddhist canon, the sutras, the rules of conduct in the Vinaya, the deep psychology of the Abhidharma. He mastered different kinds of yoga and even the most advanced secret tantras. By any measure, you'd think he'd learned everything there was to learn, right? So he goes to his master, Sri Singha, probably feeling pretty good about himself. He says, "I get it, it's all an illusion." And Sri Singha basically hits him with a spiritual "so what?" He tells him, knowing that is useless. It's just a nice idea, a platitude. Unless that understanding sinks from your head into your very bones. True wisdom isn't what you can talk about. It's what you actually live and breathe, moment to moment.
Okay, so that brings us to our second chapter, the traps of practice. Sri Singha tells him what to do, and Padmasambhava starts having these wild, profound experiences. But this is where the path gets really tricky, because this is where the ego gets sneaky and puts on spiritual robes.
So he does what his master says, and bam, he has this mind-blowing experience. He feels like he has no body, no breath, like he can move through walls. He feels immortal. For anyone on a spiritual path, this is like hitting the jackpot, right? He's totally ecstatic and rushes back to tell his teacher all about it.
But instead of getting a high five, he gets completely shut down. The master calls him extremely foolish for being so proud. He makes it crystal clear that the cool experience isn't the point. In fact, clinging to it is a huge mistake. The takeaway here is that any experience, no matter how amazing, becomes a trap the second the ego claims it. The real work is to stop building a story around it.
All right, so back to the meditation cushion he goes. He meditates for another year, and then he has an even deeper insight. He becomes totally convinced that form is emptiness and that good and evil are just ideas with no real meaning. He's convinced he's cracked the code of non-duality. This has to be it, right?
But again, his master just cuts right through it with this razor-sharp question. He asks, if you really believe that everyone is the same as the enlightened ones, do you treat every single person with the same respect you'd give to a Buddha? It's a brilliant question. It shows that it's one thing to think everything is one, but it's another thing entirely to live like it is.
And so, the master gives him an even deeper, more profound instruction. He's telling him to drop the concepts, drop the philosophy, be like a corpse, still. Be like a mute person, silent. And let your mind be like the sky, vast, open, without any center. He's telling him, drop the thinking, drop the analyzing, just be.
Okay, this next part is maybe the most important and also the toughest part of the whole journey. This is where the master has to take a hammer to even the most shiny, beautiful spiritual trophies that Padmasambhava has collected. And wow, does he deliver. Following this new instruction, he has these incredible experiences. We're talking about a clarity so pure it's like glass, an emptiness with zero clinging, a bliss that feels like melting butter, an awareness as bright and steady as the sun. These are peak meditative states. Surely he's finally made it. So he reports back, probably thinking, okay, this has got to be it. And then, wham, the master delivers this absolutely crushing critique. He says, the zombie of delusion is still stumbling around. What a line! He's telling him that as long as there's an I who is experiencing all this bliss and clarity, you're still caught. You haven't escaped the prison, you've just made it a really nice one.
And here's why the master is so harsh.
He explains that holding on to these amazing states is just setting yourself up for a fancier prison cell in your next life. If you cling to bliss, you get reborn in a heavenly world of pleasure. Cling to clarity, you're reborn in a world of pure light. Cling to emptiness, you end up in a deep, formless trance. They sound great, sure, but they're still traps. They're golden cages, not freedom.
So this all leads up to the final, and maybe the simplest instruction of all. The master tells him, son, stop it. Stop chasing these temporary experiences. Don't cling to them. And then he says it. Let your mind rest completely as it is. No fixing, no chasing, no nothing.
And this, right here, is where everything changes. We've reached the final realization. This is the moment the whole house of cards, all the effort, all the concepts, all the experiences, comes tumbling down.
And as he just lets his mind be, something finally clicks. He suddenly sees that all those amazing states he'd achieved, the bliss, the clarity, all of it, were just more thoughts, more concepts, more labels. And in that seeing, poof, they were gone. And in their place is this incredible realization. He sees that his mind, his true nature, was never broken. It didn't need fixing. It didn't need any upgrades or virtues added to it. It was already whole, already perfect, right from the very beginning.
And this is the paradox that just blows the whole game wide open. He realizes that all that practice doesn't actually create enlightenment, and at the same time, not practicing doesn't automatically mean you're lost or confused. True nature is just there, whether you're striving for it or not. So when his master asks him, all right, show me what you've got, his answer is just perfect. He says his realization is gone, like the path a bird leaves in the sky. It's a beautiful way of saying it's not a thing. It's not an object you can hold or show someone. There's nothing to grab onto, nothing to point at. It's gone. And the master gives him one last little piece of advice, and it's so subtle. He's pointing out that even happiness and unhappiness are two sides of the same coin. If you're happy, you're afraid of losing it. If you're unhappy, you hope to be happy. Both are forms of clinging. True freedom is beyond both hoping for something good and fearing something bad.
And Padmasambhava himself sums up the entire journey in this one powerful verse. He's saying, look, all those books, all those advanced practices, they were great, but they didn't free me. What freed me was that one simple secret instruction. Just let be.
And that, of course, brings the whole story right back to you and me. It doesn't have to be about spirituality. Think about your career, your hobbies, anything you're trying to get better at. We all have those aha moments, those achievements that feel like the peak. But this story asks us a tough question. Are those achievements the real destination? Or are they just beautiful, shiny distractions that keep us from seeing what's already here?